Hi ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about how to maximize on your new Salad Master machine. Now you may be a consultant doing demonstrations, or you may be a brand new customer pulling your Salad Master machine out of the box. Either way, here are a few tips. We're going to start with the actual components. We're going to talk about some do's and not do's, and then we're going to perform by chopping up some vegetables and show you how the Salad Master machine works in action. So to start off with, you have 5 cones. Each cone has a number that corresponds to the different cutting edge. So if you take a look at your cones, an easy way to remember the cones that you have is you have 1, 2, and 3, small, medium, and large shredding, and you have the 4 and 5. You have a straight edge and a ripple slice. It's pretty easy to differentiate the small, medium, and large. The 2 that sometimes people get confused is the 2 cone, which is a shredder, and the 5 cone, which is a ripple slicer. Okay? Now, your cones will stay sharp forever. It's part of the lifetime warranty. They should not dull, and they will not rust. Now, other part we have is the hopper stand and suctions. The hopper right here goes in on an angle and comes out on an angle. It's possible that the hopper could stick to the stand if it's pushed in hard, or maybe there is some food, juice, or some sugars that have dried inside of here from your vegetables. What you want to do sometimes, give it a little jiggle and it comes out nice and easy. Another challenge sometimes when people are putting this on the countertop, if it's a regular or non-flat surface, the suctions don't suction down as good as they should. Or if there's too much water, or if there's food underneath there, that it can affect the suction of the silicone cups. So we've got the stand, we've got the hopper, we have the food guide right here. The food guide faces forward like so, maybe a little stiff when you first start using it, and of course you can put food in the back of the hopper like that. We'll demonstrate that later. So your cones that I recommend are easiest to use are the smallest, the straight edge slice, the number 1 and number 2. The 3 and the 5 cone, they do have a little bit more technique because they're more of a deeper cut. So let's show you how the Salad Master machine works now. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to chop up some vegetables here. I'm going to use the number 4 cone, the slicer. I like to call this a safe mandolin. I'm going to take the cabbage, and I've quartered the cabbage, and I've left a little bit of the core to hold the leaves together. So I recommend the core of the cabbage is the last thing you're going to cut. So the core is facing out. The outer shell of the cabbage leaf is sitting towards the back. I'm going to apply pressure at 90 degrees. Now, here's one thing we want to talk about. If you apply pressure here, it's not going to cut very effectively. So the pressure needs to be applied here, and usually you do this with your wrist in a downward press. So nice and easy. So I'll give you another example. I'm pushing like this, doesn't cut very well. So the pressure is down at 90 degrees. You'll also notice that it's cutting in a conular shape, which if I do not move the angle, eventually it's going to leave a bunch of leaves towards the end. So I'll change the angle after so many so many spins in the machine, and the core is left to the last part. Now, sometimes the core is very dense, so I may not slice it on the number 4 cone. I may save it for a smaller cone, but the core does have nutrients in there, so we will save that for a smaller cone. My hand will go on the inside just to clean it out, and counterclockwise I'll turn the crank. So let's try cutting on the number 2 cone. So again, clockwise I'll lock it in, and when I am applying pressure with the food, I'm not going to turn it backwards because the cone will fall off. So as long as I want to cut, I cut in a clockwise fashion. I have your celery, and the celery does have the strings, so anytime I want to peel something, the peel needs to be towards facing the back of the hopper. I'm going to do half of the celery, and I'll turn it 180 degrees. Now, here's an interesting technique, and I'll show you this on different things like juicing later, but my hand is going to be flat. I will never cut myself as long as my fingers don't go in there. So my fingers are kind of protected there, and I'll take it right down to the strings, like so. Okay? Now let's talk about, now that we have a smaller cone here, let's chop up the cabbage. all the way down. Again, notice where my fingers are. And gravity will just feed it through. Now a radish, you can shred it, but I'm going to slice the radish just because it looks a little prettier. You can do the same thing with mushrooms. Do them one at a time like so. Or you can put it towards the back like here, drop it in the hopper, and push it through nice and easy. Okay? Let's talk about onions. Sometimes people will have challenge with onions, and that's not crying. It's again applying the pressure at 90 degrees. So if you see if I'm putting the onion in there, cuts very easy. Now this is more of a slicing, which is great for sauteing. But if you do want it a little finer, the number 2 cone. You don't want to use the number 1 because it's going to juice the onion. So let's talk about how we may want to put some food in the back of the hopper. The first thing we do is we get it started. If we push it in like that, it may go on an angle and get pinched. So I'm just going to get it started. And once I've got that started, I'm going to push the food guide down like so. Now if I'm doing a dinner demonstration, I'm involving a customer into the presentation. I want to make sure I'm going to use something easy for them to chop. Usually a carrot or a cucumber or maybe a zucchini. And I'm only going to get them to cut approximately half of it because really I don't want them to feel awkward or risk maybe potentially cutting themselves because they haven't been trained yet. So counterclockwise comes off. Let's try the number 1 cone just to give you an idea. When we do the cake at the dinner show, it's really a fine grade, or if we're doing the cheese or shredding up some potato for a potato pancake or something like that, you can get an idea how that works. Now the last thing I'm going to do on this cone is juicing. So we're going to juice a orange here right now. I can start by doing a little zesting on the outside. And the key with zesting is not to press too hard and get the pith in there. Now when I flip this over, the key when I'm juicing is I don't try to push the whole orange at the time. I do half at a time. So I do the front half. I get down to the pith. I flip it over 180 degrees. I'll do the back half like that. Let's do that all over again. My fingers are totally safe. Notice my hand does slip, it's like this. I'm not doing it like this because my fingers could get pinched. 180 degrees. There we go. So there's juicing, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's talk about how we do fruit salad. Once again, clockwise, clean all the juice out. Counterclockwise, cone comes out. I'm going to pull the food guide off, and I'm going to use number 2 cone and a melon. So I've cut the melon in half and cut it in little wedges, and the melon is going to be shredded without the food guide. I'm going to pinch my finger on each side and apply pressure in the center, simply like so. And basically it peels. So just put the peel towards the outside and it works beautifully on any of your fruits for fruit salad. So ladies and gentlemen, there's your Salad Master machine. Cones are dishwasher safe, but they're pretty easy to rinse. So happy, healthy, shredding, grating, slicing, and rippling every day with your Salad Master machine. And one final tip, keep it on your counter because when you see it, you'll use it. The cones, feel free to put them in your cupboard, but your Salad Master machine, it's gorgeous. It enhances the beauty and decor of your kitchen, so keep it out. And remember, a salad a day keeps the doctor away.